And what is the divide, if any, on giving more money to Israel and potentially the US getting involved in another protracted war? Don't have any
Yeah,
intelligence that it
that's
might
not the
be that.
divide.
Yeah. What is
Yeah,
the divide?
that's not the divide. The divide is the way that the White House asked for the money. The White House, since all supplemental funding requests begin with our president. He has to ask Congress for special money, extra money above a budgeted amount.
Mm.
So when he sent down his request late last week, it was for $105 billion, which is a huge amount of money.
Oof.
Only 14 of that was for Israel. The largest portion of that, 60 billion, was for Ukraine. And there's a lot of members in Congress, including folks in both parties, who aren't really comfortable with putting those two things together. They'd like to have a separate vote on Israel and then another vote again on Ukraine. So my guess is that's the way that it's going to play out. Instead of voting all on this one bill at one time, both will pass, but by different vote totals.
Yeah, right. Okay, so what about the presidential race? We've still got to keep an eye on that. It's not far away. Now, what have we had? Mike Pence drop out of the race and Nikki Haley doing a little bit better?
Yeah, Mike Pence has dropped out, which surprised a lot of people, myself included. He was in Las Vegas giving a speech on something entirely different and announced sort of off the cuff. I doubt it was really off the cuff, but it sounded like it was at the end of the speech that he was suspending his campaign. He was not going to qualify, Laura, for the next debate in Miami. And that's pretty much the kiss of death in the Republican primary. So it doesn't come as a surprise. It just came as a surprise that it happened on that particular time. Nikki Haley is doing a lot better. However, she's stealing mostly votes from Ron DeSantis. The most recent national poll I've seen has Donald Trump actually doing better than he did a month ago, as high as 58 or 59% amongst Republicans. So while Nikki Haley certainly is moving into a stronger second position, she's still 40 or 50 points behind Donald Trump, who's still the smart money to be the Republican nominee.
Yeah, right. So a year out, essentially, it's going to be Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or do you have doubts about that latter name I mentioned?
So a name that no one has ever heard of, including here in this country, Dean Phillips. And I'd never really heard of him. He's a Democrat congressman from Minnesota. He's in his first or second term. No one knows who this guy is. He announced for president over the weekend as a Democrat running against Joe Biden. He's the first legitimate contender against Joe Biden. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was running against him. He's sort of a fringe candidate. He's since announced that he's going to run as an independent, not as a Democrat. But there is now a real Democrat in the race against Joe Biden. And the discussion here is whether or not this will represent the dam breaking. And many of the Democrat names that you and I have talked about, the governor of California, the governor of Michigan, the governor of Illinois, big Democrat names might be waiting to get in now that someone else has gone first. This will be very interesting to watch.
Okay. Should we expect other names, other Democrats over the next year, do you reckon? I mean, I just can't see how Joe Biden can go for another term and how the American people will go for it.
He did a really nice job, LJ, on the handling of the first weeks of the war in Israel, including not only a visit to Israel, but a really good speech from the Oval Office. I've scheduled a couple of these.
And a good interview too, I would say. A good interview.
A great interview. And his approval ratings went down. I'm not making that up. He's simply not able. He is not able to get over the age issue right now. The economy, while doing well on paper here, isn't translating because inflation is still very high. And his approval ratings, even amongst Democrats, is going down. So the Democrats are, as a party now, are really starting to ask a lot more questions in public as to whether or not they can ride Joe Biden through another election cycle, or whether or not they use this Dean Phillips intervention into the race as an excuse to sort of let in all the big names that might be legitimate contenders for the presidency.
Sounds like the beginning of the end to me. Mick Mulvaney, we will speak soon. Good to see you.